Welcome, Karen. Thank you so much for being on the President's Chat today. We actually met a couple of weeks ago through an introduction of a QMWS member, and I had a lovely tour of Hartwood Hub earlier this year. And I think it's a really important initiative for women that have landed in a very difficult position and are at risk for homelessness. And I think many of our members might know women in such positions, either through their practice or maybe personally, and might be struggling to help them. So I think knowing about this initiative can be really helpful. So we have about 20 minutes today, and I would like to start with asking you what Hartwood Hub is and how did you get the inspiration?
Thank you for having me to talk to you today, Ira. Hartwood Hub is a venture that I started thinking about after I lost my husband after a long battle with cancer in 2020. And I suddenly began to think about how even so we thought we had everything covered. We thought we had it all ticked off. We had a long time to plan and we had a long time to think about this. We're very pragmatic people and very organized, and we really couldn't have been more wrong. We had not taken into consideration that it wasn't all about what we had to plan. There were other factors that came in and that were out of our control. The biggest one being banking. Banking and the way society, in particular business and banking, saw widows in particular. What happened to me was that my line of credit that I had had for 20 odd years and all of the collateral against that line of credit, which a line of credit is like a great big home loan, but it's like a big credit card that I ran my businesses through. The banks no longer deemed me capable of managing that without my husband being by my side, and they closed it down. And they closed it down with an hour's notice after I presented his death certificate. So that, for me, being a woman in my 50s who had not worked in a mainstream job, I had passive income rather than what the banks considered a normal job. So I didn't have a job where I went to work and had a paycheck presented to me. My income was derived from various other investments and things that we had set up. So the long and the short of that is that in banking world, I was considered too risky to lend to. And I managed to get through, and I didn't lose my house, and I didn't lose the property that I had purchased, that my husband and I had decided that where I should live. I got through my banking hiccup, and I was very fortunate. But I realised that a lot of women wouldn't have managed to get through that banking hiccup, and they wouldn't be able to continue to live their life the way they had without their husband. And then I started listening and talking and really investigating this whole concept, and it became notable to me that some women actually were losing their homes when this was happening, because when they have their mortgages closed down, they actually didn't have enough capital to buy another house. They may not have even had enough collateral to buy a smaller house, and then they weren't even able to rent because they'd never rented before. So here they were in their mid-50s, as I was. They've lost their husband. They don't have a banking history. They don't have a rental history. And where do they go to? What do they do? And these women were finding themselves in all sorts of bother. And that's why we're in this situation in Australia where so many women in their mature years were finding themselves at risk or homeless. So I decided to do something about it. Just one house at a time. And that's how I developed Hartwood Hub. And we found Fisher House, and I renovated it. And I'm not a businesswoman, but I did a crash course 101 with a very, very talented business mentor, and I learned how to run businesses. I had done renovating for a very long time. It was my passion, but we set up Fisher House and we promoted it to become a haven for women who found themselves in circumstances outside of their control, where they needed that safe space to go to rest and revive and then go on and thrive in a world where they were no longer a we, they were just one person, where they had to forge a new life for themselves, and that involves a lot of learning, and so we set up Hartwood Hub, being both that place where you can come and rest and be safe and know that you've got somewhere safe to lay your head, but also a place where you can go on and be supported to learn how to access all those things you need to learn how to access.
Yeah, yeah. Because I imagine a lot of these women, they've always been in a relationship with their partner, and as soon as they are divorced or widowed, all of a sudden they're not seen as individuals anymore, or at least not individuals with a history.
That's
no
right.
Banking history, no renting history, and then they're stuck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, I've worked in the couple of years after my husband passed. I kept myself very busy because that was my way of managing. And I was helping a couple of women who were divorced or divorcing, and you know, they had nowhere to go. They literally had nowhere to go. One in particular, and I spoke to her before I did this, and she's very actively involved in Fisher House as well. And she was with her family in bedrooms, but it wasn't. She didn't feel like she had her own space. You know, as loving as her family are, and I've spoken to other people who since have said that you know, families, they're happy. Now this is the lady that I'm talking about, the first lady. This is another lady. She said she went and she was on a friend's couch, and then she was in a family member's, and then but they all say come, but then after a little while it's like you really know that it's time to go.
It's not your own house.
Not your own house. And they struggle because they've already lost something that massive in their life, whether that be through becoming widowed or divorced or any other massively changed circumstance. It could be that they've had a huge illness, and they're recovering, so they've lost their job, they've lost their independence, they've lost whatever it is that they've lost. They've had a massive loss, so they've gone through a massive trauma, and now they're faced with having nowhere to call home, and that in itself is another trauma. And particularly in Brisbane at the moment, with the rental crisis being what it is, and the competition to get into something, if you've got anything outside what they consider to be the norm, I hate to say normal, but that's what it is a normal job or a normal rental history or a normal background. Heaven forbid you should be doing something artistic. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Then particularly thinking of freelancers at the moment, predominantly as I have one of each. I will declare my openness about that. I have a professional and a freelancer in my children, and so I've seen this happen to them themselves when they've applied for a loan. I've seen it firsthand, the banks approach the professional and the freelancer, and it really does make a difference.
Yeah.
And it's wrong. It truly is wrong, because the freelancer could be earning just as much money, if not more, than the professional, but the banks don't see it that way. The banks see boxes on a piece of paper that they tick, and if you don't fit into that little box, then I'm sorry, no, close the door, move on, we'll go to the next person, and we'll lend our money to that person. And
Well, and it's quite astonishing that women are still treated like this in this day and age, that when they get out of a relationship, that it's as if they don't exist, or if they haven't existed. Yeah.
It's not only just women, it's women in their 50s in particular.
Yeah.
So younger women who are freelancers, yes, that's fine. But women in their 50s, heaven forbid, if you don't have a job that's got a PAYG attached to it, or a salary attached to it, it's very difficult for you to get a rental.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and how does your housing differ from other housing for women?
I'm a very trusting person. We don't take necessarily your rental history. Well, we don't actually need you to have one. We take you on face value. I work very closely with an extremely experienced rental property manager. We take unemployed people. We take people with no rental history. We take people that are on Centrelink. We take people that have just come out of relationships. We take people that have coming from overseas to study. So we assess you on you, not on what your piece of paper says. So we do a leap of faith, so to speak. We look at you as a human, and we assess you, and we talk to you, and I sort of get a feeling for who you are and what your journey is, where you need to get to. And based on that, we just have a leap of faith, and we take you on the proviso that you're going to treat our home, Fisher House, with the respect that we're treating you.
Yeah.
And that's how we do it. And at the moment, for the last 14 weeks, it's just about worked every time. So
that's amazing. Yeah. And you also have different projects that you have on the horizon. What are those?
We do. Off air, I was just explaining to you that Fisher House, Hartwood Hub, I started with this very, very narrow-minded, not in a negative way, but I was very focused on helping widows and divorced women and women with a traumatic change of life circumstances. And since I've opened Fisher House, I've learned that those women didn't necessarily want to come to Fisher House because it was too big. I do have some divorced women. I've had 3 come through. I haven't had a widow yet, but I've still got 2 divorced women in the house currently. I've had one that was only there for a month, and we relocated her. So we let her break her lease. She managed to get one of the government subsidised housing, and we said, of course, go for it, go. And
so that's another difference from other rental properties.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
More flexibility.
So, absolutely, we're very flexible. If an opportunity arises for one of our tenants that can offer them long-term rental safety, am I going to make them pay break costs? No, because I've already got a wait list, and I know that my rooms will be filled again. So for that example, she went. But so I've had to recognise and I'll just diverge a little bit and make very clear that I'm not a charity. I'm a profit for purpose business. Hartwood Hub set up. Fisher House is our flagship property, and it was very much set up as a business. Being 50, I'm now 56, I have to remember. I've got a long time to live, and I need to, like anyone else in their 50s, think about how I'm going to maintain my lifestyle for the rest of my life. And I decided to do that by helping me, but also by helping other women. And hence this concept that Hartwood Hub would be a profit for purpose rather than going down the charitable line. So we are a business, and we've made that very clear from the beginning. It doesn't need to be a very profitable business, but it is a profitable model. So we, in our next venture, we need to think of what is the ladies needing, and what they've said that they need is smaller, more individualized units within still a community, but they want more of their own space. So they want more of a little studio apartment type thing. And that's what we're on our hunt for. We're looking for a grant that we've almost ready to apply for. Again, it's not a government grant, it's a private equity grant. And hopefully we will get that, and then we will start looking for the correct premise. There's lots out there. But the ladies seem to want their own little kitchenette. They don't particularly want to share kitchens. They do like the concept of having a communal area where they can come together and talk, but they do like to have more of a space where they can cook for themselves, shower for themselves, have their own bedroom, shower, and kitchenette, or at least bedroom, shower. So
yeah. And do you have a timeline for that, ideally?
Well, it depends really. As I've spent all I have. That's it for me. Until I get a grant, I have to work with Fisher House. If I can get a grant, the time frame is usually about 12 months to turn one of these. So we turned Fisher House around in 10 months, but that was hard work. That was really hard work. And it was already student accommodation, so we just had to move walls and tidy up, and I pushed my team very, very hard, and we had to jump through hoops. But this sort of purpose-built, we have to find the location. It would involve a lot more work. So I would say 12 months from the time we get the grant. So we don't even have the grant yet. So I don't know. It's a dream. But I do firmly believe that we will get there. The other projects that I have passionately on my list is for mothers with children. A lot of my younger divorced applicants have said, can I bring my children? And of course, well, no, not Fisher House isn't set up for children. So the one that we've got planned for children and mothers is, once again, this sense of community, because I find that they do need that other women like their same situation around them, so that they can talk and have that backup, because
peer support.
Absolutely. Because I've found even in Fisher House, the women that I've got there now, a lot of them, even so they're not gone through trauma, all of them, they are going through individual little traumas, and they support one another. And it's amazing to see what a sense of community has been created in Fisher House, that the women find such benefit from by being together. And so the mothers and children tiny house community is very, very much a priority in my to-do list with the grant, if we get it. So they're the first two that we'd like to do thereafter. And then the third one is more for the younger women. So I've got a real concern about younger women who also don't meet the criteria for rental, because they don't, they may have come from a home where they themselves may not have been traumatized physically, but they've witnessed a lot, and they need to get out of home straight away as soon as they're legally allowed. But where do they go? What do they do? They don't have a rental history. They don't have very much money. They certainly don't have a financial history. So they need a very low charging facility that's also safe and secure and pleasant to live in, because they need that. They haven't had that. And that's very, very high on my list. I've actually got two or three of those girls currently living at Fisher House, and they love it.
Okay. So 3 distinct groups of women that you would like to cater for. More
Yes.
specifically. Now,
Yes.
our time is almost up, but I would
It
like
really
to.
can't be 20
Oh,
minutes
yes,
already.
it goes so quickly.
I know.
I do want to quickly mention the Learning Hub, because
Oh,
that's another one of your projects. What is that?
one of the main things that well, there's lots of things that make Fisher House different to and Hartwood Hub's philosophy on women's accommodation, short stay accommodation different, is that we offer a learning hub concept. The learning hub actually hasn't been built yet. The cost of setting it up was outside the limits of my funding. So it's on hold, but the learning hub concept still runs. So we offer complimentary or inclusive of anyone that stays with us. We offer them learning opportunities. So if they need to learn how to, for example, these women often have never done a budget. They don't know how to do MyGov. They don't know how to do go in and apply for a bank card or a MasterCard, or some of them have never done a rental application. Some of them don't have a resume. Some of them don't know how to do a job interview. So we do a lot of that sort of work. I have a background in education. I also have a lot of volunteers that have offered to come in and do all sorts of different therapies, art therapy, we do yoga therapy, we do garden therapy, all these sorts of things that we offer through Hartwood Hub come into the house, or when the beautiful hub is built on the side of the house, we will offer them through there. But that sets us aside from almost any other women's boarding house, because my belief is that in order to change, you've got to make change happen. And you can only change if you know how to change, and education is key to change. So the Learning Hub for me was a no-brainer. If you don't offer people access to education and then help them get there, then they're not going to know how to do it. We also offer them, if we don't do the training ourselves, we offer them guidance as to where they can get to training. So links and networking and just information brochures, or talk to them. Oh, I know this person that offers this facility that you might be interested in doing. So we create a relationship with the ladies so that we know where they want to get to, and how we know how they can get there if they want our help.
And you offer them practical support and your networks.
Yes, that's right. The Learning Hub is not officially up and running yet because we don't have a building, but my involvement in Fisher House is on a daily basis. I go there every day. And the girls are often, Karen, can you help me do this? Or do you know what this means, Karen? Or Karen, I want to get to this job. How do I do that? We do trial. We do mock application interviews. We do all sorts of things that help them particularly with English as a second language students
Yeah.
or ladies. Yeah, so it's a very involved process when they're going from starting here and starting from A. I keep forgetting when on visual. Sorry, starting from A and getting to B can be quite a journey. And whether you're starting from a trauma or whether you're starting from not a trauma, it can be a journey. But if you're starting with trauma, that journey can be overwhelming. So just knowing that you've got people at Hartwood Hub to support you without judging you.
Yeah.
And
These are all volunteers, though. It's not professional help that you offer.
no, it's not
Okay.
professional help.
Yeah. No, that's important for our members to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will say that it's not professional help. But like I am a trained teacher, and the person doing the garden therapy, her qualifications are a mile long, but it's all on a volunteer basis. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Karen, we are through our time.
Oh no.
Time is up. I know. There's so much more to talk about.
I know.
And,
well, anyone can call me anytime or come through and visit at Fisher House. We love visitors.
Okay, good.
Very open to visitors.
What we will do is we will put the website.
Yes.
And do you want a phone number or an email address to be provided as well?
Yes, you can do both of those things. So
okay.
Do those and or they can be up. Do you want me to say them out loud? Because I don't know them. Do you want me to say them?
Oh, we can put them in the blurb.
Yeah, okay,
for the introduction. Yes. Okay. I will stop the recording now.